deep in the jungles of Central America, where the air tastes like wet earth and ancient secrets drift with the mist. A lone traveler once stood before a towering stone pyramid. His flashlight flickered against the weathered steps, revealing carvings older than Christianity, older than Rome, older than most civilizations humans can name. He paused, staring into the darkness, feeling as if thousands of unseen eyes were watching from within the trees. These were the remnants of the Maya, once the most advanced civilization in the Americas, now vanished so completely that even modern science still argues over how they disappeared. Asterisk, if you could rewind time 1500 years, these abandoned stone temples would explode into life. Cities roared with activity. Markets overflowed with jade, obsidian, and bright exotic feathers. Astronomers climbed observatories to track the movement of Venus. Priests carried burning incense through grand ceremonial plazas, and kings wrapped in jaguar skins and crowned with emerald mosaics addressed crowds of tens of thousands. From Guatemala to Mexico to Belize, the Maya were at their peak, mathematicians capable of calculating the length of a solar year, more accurately than modern science until the 20th century. Architects who constructed pyramids aligned with celestial cycles, artists who carved stories into stone with the elegance of poetry. This was not some primitive jungle tribe. This was a superpower, and it thrived for more than 1,000 years. Asterisk, but something happened, something so dramatic, so destructive, that some of the greatest cities humanity ever built were abandoned almost overnight. And the truth is that no single explanation fits. Climate change, warfare, famine, political collapse, shifting trade networks, religious upheaval. Each theory explains a part of the puzzle, but none solve it entirely. And so, the disappearance of the Maya remains one of the most chilling mysteries in human history. Asterisk, to understand the fall, you must first understand the rise. According to Maya legend, the gods created humans out of corn, the sacred crop that shaped their culture. Corn fed their people, powered their rituals, and became the backbone of the empire. As their population grew, small villages became towns, towns became kingdoms, and kingdoms became massive city-states. Each city had its own king, its own writing system, its own temples, and its own beliefs. Tikal, Calakmul, Palenque, Copan, names that meant nothing to the outside world at the time, but represented some of the most powerful capitals on Earth. Asterisk. Imagine standing in Tikal at its height. The jungle is silent because humans have conquered it. Wooden causeways stretch for miles, connecting neighborhoods. Massive pyramids cast shadows across carefully planned plazas. Thousands gather for ceremonies, raising their voices in chants that echo through the stone corridors. At night, the sky glows with torchlight and reflections from polished limestone temples. Even far from the cities, the Maya controlled the land. Terraced farms, irrigation systems, and reservoirs allowed millions to survive in regions where rainfall changed dramatically from season to season. Asterisk. And then came the wars. Asterisk. The Maya were not a peaceful people. Their inscriptions describe centuries of conflict, alliances formed and broken, kings capturing rival rulers, cities rising and falling in bloody cycles of revenge. Tikal and Calakmul, two of the most powerful cities, fought a century-long war that pulled dozens of smaller kingdoms into the chaos. Each victory meant more tribute, more slaves, more land. Each defeat weakened the losing city until the jungle swallowed it whole. Over time, the political landscape fractured. Instead of a united empire, the Maya world became a checkerboard of competing powers. Asterisk. While kings battled for dominance, the climate shifted. Scientists now know that the Maya region experienced long periods of extreme drought between 800 and 900 AD, the exact period when the civilization began collapsing. Crops failed, reservoirs dried, farmers abandoned their fields. Without food, cities starved. Without water, kings lost legitimacy. And without stability, rebellions erupted. People fled to dying capitals, seeking survival elsewhere. Inscriptions suddenly stopped. Temples, once filled with incense and prayer, went silent. Asterisk. Picture a grand city like Copan during its final days. A place that once dazzled visitors with intricate stone sculptures now stands half empty. The last king issues desperate public works orders, new monuments, new temples as if trying to prove the gods still favored him, but the people have already begun abandoning the city. The once bustling markets are quiet. The surrounding hills are stripped bare from over. Famine creeps closer with every passing year. Eventually, even the king disappears from the historical record like a candle snuffed out. Asterisk. But this still doesn't explain everything. Why did dozens of cities collapse at nearly the exact same time? Why did people leave behind advanced architecture and writing systems and walk into the jungle with nothing? Why did such an intelligent, sophisticated society dissolve so fast it looks like a mass disappearance? Asterisk. Some archaeologists believe the Maya didn't just collapse, they revolted. Commoners, tired of war, taxes, forced labor, and endless sacrifices, may have turned on their kings. When food disappeared and rulers failed to answer prayers, faith in the divine order fractured. Without this spiritual backbone, society unraveled. Temples were abandoned not because of destruction, but because people no longer believed. Asterisk others suggest something darker. The Maya relied heavily on religious astronomy. If their predictions failed, if droughts came when they said rains would, if disasters struck despite rituals, the entire priestly class could have been blamed. In ancient societies, losing the trust of the people was often fatal. Failed prophecies could have triggered mass upheaval, panic, and migrations. Asterisk meanwhile, the jungle had been waiting patiently. Unlike modern cities, Maya cities fought against nature every single day. Without constant human maintenance cutting vines, clearing roots, managing water, systems buildings crumbled at alarming speed. Within a decade, stone structures began disappearing under vegetation. Within a century, thriving cities turned into ruins. Travelers who later stumbled across these abandoned temples saw only haunted stone giants staring through the leaves. Asterisk, yet the Maya did not go extinct. Millions of Maya people still live today across Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. They kept their languages, their traditions, and their identity despite Spanish conquest, disease, and slavery. But what vanished was the old world, the world of kings, pyramids, astronomers, and empires. That world crumbled between 800 and 900 AD, leaving behind stones that refused to speak their full truth. Asterisk, the disappearance of the Maya is not a single mystery. It is a chain reaction, a perfect storm of drought, war, famine, political collapse, overpopulation, and spiritual crisis. Each factor alone could weaken a civilization. Together, they shattered one of the greatest societies ever built. Asterisk, but here's the part most people never think about. Asterisk, what if the Maya saw the collapse coming? Asterisk, recent discoveries show that in some regions, people gradually moved away rather than fleeing suddenly. They shifted toward the northern Yucatan where rainfall was more predictable. Cities like Chichen Itza rose shortly after the southern cities fell. It wasn't a vanishing, it was a migration, a slow transformation rather than an apocalyptic end. Asterisk still, the southern lowland cities were abandoned completely. No one returned to rebuild. No new rulers claimed the temples. No new inscriptions appeared. They simply let the jungle reclaim their world. And maybe that silence, that choice to leave their past behind, is what makes the mystery so haunting. Asterisk, imagine the final night in a city like Tikal. The torches glow their last embers. Wind moves through the empty plazas like a whisper. A priest climbs the steps of the Great Pyramid one more time, offering prayers to gods who no longer answer. Below him, the people gather not for celebration, but for departure. They carry what little they have left. Children cling to their parents. Elders struggle to walk. No army attacks them. No disaster destroys the city. They simply walk away, disappearing into the darkness of the forest, leaving behind a world that will confuse future generations for centuries. Asterisk, and somewhere deep inside the jungle, centuries later, explorers cut through vines and look up at massive stone pyramids rising through the canopy. They ask the same question we still ask today. Asterisk, why did they leave? Asterisk, maybe the real mystery is not why the Maya disappeared. Asterisk, but how such an extraordinary civilization emerged, thrived, and then chose to let nature erase it. Asterisk, even today, their temples stand as reminders. Human greatness is never permanent. Civilizations rise. Civilizations fall. Asterisk, and sometimes the loudest stories in history are told by the societies that left behind nothing but silence. Asterisk,